Welcome, trippers, to episode 8 of Tripping Through Transformation. I'm your host, Guillaume Poirier, and this is episode 8. As I said, it's going to be the last episode of 2023, and I thought it'd be fitting to kind of do a review of some of the obstacles and challenges that I've overcome, and some of the methods that have kind of helped me along the way. And I figured I'd discuss some of what I anticipate or what I plan on working on in 2024, some of my goals, some of the healing practices I'm going to implement, coaching methods, all that. And we'll see where it goes. Today's going to be more of a conversational type podcast. I'm going to bring on my great podcast engineer, Jenna, and she'll join the conversation. But yeah, I don't really know what to expect. This is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. So stay tuned. And, balance, drop the beat. Let's see what happens.
Balance makes it bang.
Man, those beats just keep getting better and better. Make sure you guys check out Balance. Actually, he's got an Instagram page. If you like what you're hearing here, check him out on Instagram. Real Balance 686. So like I said, today's going to be more of a conversational, more laid back type podcast. We're going to discuss obstacles, how to overcome them, EMDR, microdosing. We're going to be all over the place. And I can't do that alone because otherwise I'm just going to be ranting and babbling on. So I need to bring on somebody to help me out for this. So Jenna, come on up, show your face. And there you go. Let yourself be known. Jenna's the one who's doing all the work behind the scenes. And she's been great also at prompting me with questions when I'm talking to guests. So I'm sure she's going to be great to have a conversation with. So Jenna, thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I'm winging it here today, Jenna, letting you know. But I thought it'd be fitting to, as I said, this is the last episode of 2023. We're going to wrap things up. I'm not wrapping up the season for me. I haven't decided to wrap up the season, but definitely going to wrap up the year. And I thought it'd be good to go over, for me, my journey, and maybe you want to share about some of your journey through 2023, but obstacles that we've had, how we overcame them, things we might have learned along the way. And I also want to talk about what I'm going to be doing in 2024 to kind of continue on my personal growth journey. So
okay.
So for me, I just want to start with NGBN because that's the network we're on. That's kind of what propelled my journey, really. Mm-hmm. And 2023 for me started with surviving to striving with NGBN. They had a conference. They had all of the hosts that are NGBN right now: Chris Fontana, Chris Rubio, Chris Bentley, Charles Wallace, the whole crew. And they all shared their stories and their own personal struggles, and it was really motivating and inspiring for me. And that's really kind of what launched my desire to want to grow and be better and get successful. So I don't know, for you, at what point in 2023 did you join NGBN? Like, how did you kind of get wrapped up into all this?
Through Ian, obviously. Yeah. His passion is to help men's mental health and, bring awareness to it for the middle-aged man. And it really resonated with me. I have history in my family with mental illness, and I do myself as well. Plus, I have many, many, many male friends that have committed suicide. It was wild to me that he was doing this, plus wanting to go play college football to bring awareness to it, like to break a world record as the oldest man to play college football, to bring awareness to men's mental health and, to stop the stigma around it.
Yeah.
So That's how I found out about it, and it was very awesome. And well, you know, if you get to know Ian, he's just a great guy overall. That's when Ian, you know, he's like, we need help. Can you do this and this and this? Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Find it interesting that you and I kind of, you know, joined NGBN through Ian, you through
Yeah.
Bumble, me through LinkedIn. But it was, you know, but you know, it was his interest and his mission really that drew me to him. And it sounds like it's the same for you. But like
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but for me, it's like I got a notification from Ian. He says I noticed his video first. I say I got a notification from him first. Whatever. I'm not gonna debate that, but I just saw his video. He shared his message, you know, and he just looked like a down to earth guy. Just he was just in his car in his jeans and t-shirt, and he's like, I want to play football to bring awareness to men's mental health. I said, yeah, I can get behind that. I don't know anything about you, but I'm interested, and that's where the journey started. And yeah, and he just started, you know, kind of saying, well, I can help you with public speaking. I can help you with this. And I just enrolled in workshops and this and that. And that led to, like I said, NGBN's Surviving to Striving conference. That always gets my tongue tied, but and then just making those connections and then just talking to other guys and getting inspiration from different, you know, different stories and different perspective. And if I look back on my time, I think that was back in January through March, if I'm not mistaken. But every one of those guys that I connected with, like, left me with a little nugget of, you know, wisdom or knowledge or even just confidence or whatever. Like I can think back of specifically, I say Chris Rubio. He taught me about confidence and being authentic, and that's something I struggle with. But I needed somebody to kind of push me. And you know, Ben Smith with his book, you know, he actually he gave me the courage to voice my own personal demons with my coaches and start working through that. So it's been, you know, it's been a nice, I guess, progress of healing and learning about myself just through these guys. So
and there's lots to learn, not even about yourself, but just lots to learn, period.
Yeah. And what I found, like, and I really believe this, is that through sharing experiences and stories, and you start to realize, hey, I'm not alone in this. Other people are going through similar situations, or, you know, my situation is not as bleak as I think it is. And there's a way out. You know, you start to see things from different perspective, and then things don't seem so hopeless. And one of the things that I said right away to the guys is, you know, I feel like I've entered a circle of trust, and I feel like I feel free to express myself and kind of, you know, share my struggles and not feel ashamed about it or, you know, labeled or anything. So having that circle of trust, I really feel like I found my people. And so for me, that's what really pushed me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about mental health other than I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about having a podcast, but I have to do something. And that's just like you said, you're good at being thrown into a situation where you don't really know what you're doing and you got to figure it out and fail. And that's how you learn. Well, that's through transformation. And Ian's giving me that opportunity through NGBN and through the show. You know, I told him I want to be a speaker. I want to be inspirational to people. I want to be a philanthropist. I want to be all this. And he's like, all right, well, he's giving me ways to grow towards that. Right. So I think that's really important.
Oh, for sure. Even when I first met him and then, you know, was introduced to people in NGBN, and which really wasn't that long ago, and seeing how much has happened and how much everyone has improved, you know, like everyone, and they're just great guys and great people, and like what they're doing and the energy is really, really good. I mean, everyone has their days, of course, we all have our days, but it's the momentum is climbing, and they really do care, you know, about the whole concept of what NGBN is. And, you know, they see and realize that something needs to change, you know.
Jumping ahead a little bit, because I want to talk about EMDR, but I had an EMDR session today and we discovered that I have trust issues. And so to go and have this group of guys and starting to warm up to them and feeling like, okay, I can trust them, it was huge, because in 2023 I had a lot of challenges, and I'm not confident that I would have coped as well as I did if I didn't have that support system. You know what I mean? Like I've had relationship issues. I've had issues, in my family with my, like, just being a dad to my children. That's been a struggle. Moving. I mean, for me, moving is a huge trigger that causes a lot of stress, because, since losing my house to fires, I feel like moving I'm always moving, and I feel like I can't set roots, and I can't really form a routine, and I just never feel like I'm at home. So that's been stressful. And yeah, honestly, I've needed these guys for the past year. And
Yeah.
I would definitely, one thing I would say is, if you're struggling in your life right now, reach out to your friends. And if you don't have friends, like I still don't have very many friends, find a group that that resonates with you, and just open up.
Even people like me who have people, I just sometimes don't feel like they want to hear it, or don't want to bother them, or nothing, what's going to change anyway. Like, after I do a lot of, well, not now, but I need to get back into it. I used to do a lot of journaling.
One thing I've come to learn through, actually, I learned this through my entrepreneurship coach, Diana Noble. She talks about your environmental factors, right? And like for me, moving, always changing, always like a new scenery, having to move my stuff around and refigure stuff out and decide how I want things set up. But at the same time, thinking to myself, this is temporary. Why are you wasting your time and energy into this? Like, that's a factor that could lead to stress and depression, and just that constant change, right?
Yeah.
So it's really started to make me analyze, like, okay, what are the stressors in my life, and how can I address them? Because I think for the most part, I've lived in autopilot. This is my life. I accepted it. It sucks. And I just said, my life sucks. But now I've taken charge, and I'm noticing, okay, this sucks, but I can do something about it. And so, but yeah, definitely been a lot of stressors in 2023. I know for me, like I was saying, I've had my relationship with Caitlin, my kids and all that, that's been a struggle. And I can't help but think there's probably a lot of other guys going through similar situations. And it's tough. And that's another thing. You got to put yourself out there and talk to people about it and try to get support. But I don't know. I kind of like to talk a little bit more about some of my struggles that I've had. And hopefully, and then in the next section, I want to talk about how I want to improve them in 2024. Just in the hopes that, maybe people that are listening know that they're not the only ones going through similar situations. Maybe it can resonate with them and whatnot. So
I think the hard part when people hear that, like, you're not the only one, or I'm not the only one, I think people know that it's more, they're getting to know that more. It's, what do you do with it now? Like, how do you help each other? How do you get past that?
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
That could be true for some. For me, I grew up, no family, very few friends, very close circle. Like my girlfriend and my kids and my mom, to an extent, I've primarily been the people involved in my life. So no, sometimes for me, when things happen, like when the house burning down is a bad example, because a good chunk of the whole town burnt down. It wasn't an isolated incident, but when I'm going through, let's say, child custody battles or issues at work because of drug testing or whatever, I'm not having conversations about these things with other people. So I feel like, man, this is only happening to me, and I don't know what to do about it. So that's why I keep saying, like, making these connections, talking to people, having support groups.
Yeah. Well, they're heavy conversations, they're big topics, and you can't just, you run into somebody at the grocery store. How are you? Well, do you really want to know? And then spill it on them. Like, you can't do that. You got to find the right people to have those deep, meaningful, harsh conversations with.
That's true too. You can't just really have them with anybody. But I think for me, what I'm trying to get at is, once I found other people to talk to, and I realized, okay, this isn't only happening to me. So my first thought is, okay, maybe the universe isn't after me after all. Because I had a for a while. I was like, no matter what I do, I can't do anything right. The universe hates me. You know, I go to work every day to try to support my family. You're going to burn my house down and then drag me to a custody battle in court. And then you're going to foreclose on my house and take away my car and take away my, like, I felt attacked by the world. And I felt like this is only happening to me. And then, you know, you reach out to other people and they say, no, my house burned down too. It sucks. Oh, you know, I went through a divorce. It sucks. Oh, I was like, okay. So maybe life isn't attacking me. It's just a normal part of living. And some people have to experiences. Some are spared and don't, but there's ways to navigate around it. And it's not the end of the world. I mean, losing my job was the nail in the coffin for me, where I said, that's it. I've lost everything now. And I felt hopeless. And I said, there's no reason. Like, I've put in 15 years of work to try to raise a family. Now it's all gone, poof, overnight almost. I felt very isolated. I felt like I was suffering in silence. I felt like I was suffering alone, and there was nobody who could sympathize or resonate with that. Yeah. But that's not true. You just have to be willing to find those people and talk about it. And that's how I've kind of felt comfort and healing and been able to move forward. So yeah.
Oh, good. That's good. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, so I don't know, like, I kind of want to touch a little bit on some of the struggles I had, you know, like with my relationship, for example. I don't want to get too specific because, you know, there's other people involved and I'm not here to crap on anybody, but yeah, you know, for me, my relationship with Caitlin was 4 years long and it just ended like 2 weeks ago ish. And that was tough. Because there was no hatred between us. There was no animosity. We really loved each other. And it just felt like we just kept going in these cycles and things just never worked how we felt it should. Like, we could just never connect. I don't know. It just, things weren't working though properly. So this was really hard because in the past, you know, relationships usually ended and it was definitive. And it was like, okay, yeah, it didn't work out because of this. And in this situation, it's more like, I don't really understand why it's not working out.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
It's a weird one. It's like part of me wants it to work. So that's been very confusing. And I could see where, you know, I don't know, I'm not a relationship expert, but there's definitely different scenarios, I guess, that could lead to people breaking up or going different ways. And it's not necessarily hatred or I hate you or you suck or you ruined my life or anything. It could just generally be like, I want more for you. I think you could be happy outside of this environment. And let's see. So,
Guy, that exact same, well, kind of, but not really the exact same thing that happened with me and my past relationship too. But it ended like the same way. You know, it basically was 14 years and he was always gone working. I, you know, was alone at the acreage for 11 of those years. And, you know, it's a lot of work, plus working full time and having 3 dogs. And like, it was a lot of work. And he was never home. He never came home. He never did. And then when he did come home, he never wanted to go anywhere. And he'd only be home for like a week or 2. And it was always these empty promises. Like, we're going to move here. You know, once I get this, like, you know, we're waiting for this to happen and this to happen. And then COVID happens. And, you know, like, there were so many promises that never came to, you know, he just worked. And I understand work ethic. I have good work ethic, but I also was raised that work isn't your life. And I had, my dad passed away at work when I was 5 months old. And it's like pounded into our heads because he worked as much as he could full time or overtime and holidays because he wanted to retire early, and the only place that got him was an early death.
Yeah.
And my brother, my sister, and I are the same way. You know, like, we are great work ethic, but it's not life. So, you know, we basically do what we want to do because we're not guaranteed 5 minutes from now, you know, but in a good way. So I didn't appreciate that. I didn't stand for it, and it just felt really gross to me inside. It was weird. It was so weird. It was so crazy. It didn't make any sense to me. And yeah, we went our separate ways, other than, we shared custody with our dogs.
That's cool. You guys can do that. I'm just gonna hit a few brief points, and then I kind of want to give anyway, I'll just get through it.
Sure.
Instead of explaining it to you, I'll just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, when you talked about work ethic, like I've been there working in the oil and gas. I've seen guys work hundreds, if not thousands of hours of overtime, retire at 55, and then they turn 56, they die of a heart attack. And it's like,
yep.
Great. Your family gets to inherit all the money you've saved up your whole life, and you're
didn't
dead.
get to spend any time with you, or
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can it resonates with me.
And I actually have a couple friends who, same thing, were in, working long hours, making really good money, but once they had children, they did take a lower wage job, work Monday to Friday, so they could be home for supper every day with their kids, so they could have weekends off. And to me, that's what it is. Yeah. You don't need, it's nice to have nice things. I get that, but you don't need everything to be happy, know? And when I found this out about one of my good friends, and when he took the lower paying job just to be with his family and do this and do that, and to help his fiance, so she didn't have to be at home 24 hours a day with the kids, and then she got a part-time night job to get out. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And they're super happy, and yeah.
So he's got different values. Obviously, he values his time with his family more than he does money or what the money provides. But I think a lot of men struggles with that whole, work over life thing. Because again, in the oil industry, I've seen it. I've known guys who had like 8 kids and they're working 600 hours overtime a year to support the family. He's not really spending. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not at home with him. I don't know how he has how he lives with his family. But to me, it feels like he's spending a lot of time away at work to provide for the family, but not necessarily spending time with the family.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of men probably feel that's the value they bring to the family, though, is putting bread on the table, right? And they might not. I don't know if they don't know how to be with their family, or if they don't think about it, or I don't know. I think it's different for everyone. But things happening for a reason. That's another thing that kind of triggered for me. Like when I lost my job, I thought it was the end of the world. Mm-hmm. But now I look at it as I was unhappy, and God, the universe, life, whatever you want to call it, said, hey, what are you doing about your life? Nothing? Okay, let me do something for you. Take away the job that you hate. Yeah, it pays good money, but you're not happy. I'm taking it away. Yeah, you have a nice house, but are you really enjoying your time with your family there? No? Okay, well, let's shake things up. Let's take that. And having everything taken away from me forced me to reevaluate my life. It forced me to reevaluate my values, my beliefs, and kind of, okay.
And it probably wasn't easy, I'm sure.
I'm still figuring it out, literally. Yeah. But, it actually, what it forced me to, though, is to actually think about what I want and what I want to do. And then, like Ian says, align your thought, words, and actions with your goals, and then you're going to hopefully materialize the life that you want. And I wasn't doing that. I was living life in autopilot, being unhappy, and I needed that shake up in my life.
Yeah.
Because things, like you said, things happen for a reason.
Right. And another thing is, I know I felt this. I lost everything. I have nothing else to lose. Now what?
And that's a big power. I realize there's a big power that comes from that, because I see, losing my job in the oil sands and my house and everything as a big fall. But now it makes me more confident to attempt things again, because I'm not scared of fall again. Because I've fallen from so high now. I'm like, all right, this is a little jump to me now. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And if I fall, I fall. So, yeah. The last thing I wanted to touch on, going back to me and Caitlin, again, we wanted to have a relationship. We loved each other. We just had some struggles. And what I had to do for me is just to be authentic and say, listen, this is really bothering me, and this is what I believe. Are you on board? Are you not? And trying to navigate around that. And I mean, in the end, we just decided things aren't working for us right now. We're open to revisiting things in the future, but we just take a break and assess right now, what do we want out of life? What do we want in a relationship? What do we want?
Yeah.
And that takes courage to have those conversations. I mean, in past relationships, I would have just kept my mouth shut,
And
turned our
avoided
backs
it.
to each other. Yeah. And then bitterness builds, and that's what leads to the breakup, right? It's
Yeah.
just that resentment builds and that distance builds. And then eventually you're gone too far. This
Yeah.
one was different. It was literally like, I understand you. I understand you. I want what's best for you. I want what's best for you too. But right now, for whatever reason, whether it's our environment, our life circumstances, or there's just something not clicking, and we had to be honest about it. And yeah, we just decided, let's take a break. So
Yeah.
for me, I guess what I'm trying to put out there, the lesson learned, I guess, for anybody who might be going through something similar, is just be authentic and have those communications and really be truthful about how you feel. And you might find that, the other person feels the same way, which is great, and they might not. And that's when you dig deeper and have more conversations, and you start to say, okay, well, is this really what's best for us? I love you, I care for you, but are we a good match?
Yeah.
Because I want you to be as happy as you can be, and I want to be as happy as I can be. So
You know what's funny about that
yeah,
is you can do that with people who, are a spouse, significant other, whatever. You can't do that with family. I've tried.
yeah, you have.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you said, you can pick your friends, you can pick your spouses, but you can't pick your family.
You can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. I think we should take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about like what I'm doing in 2024 to kind of keep growing as a person. I want to talk about microdosing, and I want to talk about EMDR that I'm doing in counseling and whatever.
Okay.
So I think we've got a quick commercial from NGBN.
Yep.
So we'll play that and then we'll come back.
Perfect.
All right.
Attention, gentlemen of distinction. Introducing NGBN.TV, the television network designed exclusively for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Your go-to destination for entertainment that speaks to you, inspires you, and celebrates the incredible journey of manhood. And here's the exciting news. NGBN.TV is coming to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and your favorite mobile devices. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, seeking self-improvement, or just looking for a good laugh, NGBN.TV has got you covered. Entertainment, inspiration, brotherhood. Coming soon to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and mobile devices. NGBN.TV, where men thrive.
All right, well, we're back. Every time I see that commercial, I'm reminded of how far NGBN has grown since I launched. And I feel like every week there's more and more being revealed, and it's just bigger and bigger.
It's every
and bigger.
day.
And
Every day or
I'm
something.
blown away at how rapidly this is growing and how it's revealing itself. So
It's a wild ride.
oh, I'm holding on for dear life. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about a little bit about 2024 and healing methods, what I'm trying, maybe what you're trying, I don't know. But like I said, 2023 has had challenges, moving and relationship difficulties and family difficulties and all that. And I've found a lot of calm and healing, I guess, in communicating. That for me, that's my biggest thing, is just being able to just talk about it.
Yep.
And having coaches, having mentors, going to counseling and all that. I think for me, that's first and foremost the biggest healing tool. I don't know for you how you cope with challenging times. Do you have like a best method for coping?
The worst habit, and I still have it, but thank goodness for Ian. I mean, sometimes it pisses me off, but when my coping mechanism is to just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I was alone for like months before I moved. Because I don't like people's questions, and I had no answers. So that's why I didn't want to see anybody, talk to anybody, nobody, even my family. I didn't say anything. And, now with Ian, and I've done that, he's like, no, you're not going to go hide and deal with this. We're going to talk about it. And it pisses me off in the moment because it's like, no, this is what I do. And he's like, that's not healthy.
Yeah. That sounds a lot like me.
Yeah. So then after I get over my little grouchiness and, then we talk it out, and he's very good at getting you to see or change your way of thinking about certain things.
Yeah.
Like for the better. I'm of course still learning. I'm probably always going to be learning because I've been like this, or I've been alone in my own ways for years. I know how to stand up for myself. I'm, was told by many people I'm harsh on the outside sometimes because it's just been me. I've always had to figure stuff out with me. I never had anyone to help me ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm open, I'm blunt. Sometimes it's not good, but other times, because people are too scared to say something, it's like, why not? And that's how my mom was too. She spoke her mind about a lot of things. She actually, fun little fact about my mom, she got a bill passed in Saskatchewan for widows. Many other things, she has also done with her voice, but that's one thing I am proud to say that she did that for widows. And
yeah, you have an advocate in your family.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, I like that when you were talking about, your crankiness, when you have your fits, but then you said that, for a long time, you have to figure out how to do things by yourself. And that's very relatable to me. Like I went to boarding school. I have no brothers, no sisters. I don't really know my aunts and uncles, my cousins, nobody. So I depended on myself a lot. And, after boarding school, I was a latchkey kid, had to figure out how to cook and clean and just look after myself. What I've come to understand now that I'm almost 40, I say, way too much, but, what I've come to understand is I'm a product of that child and growing up with those, adaptations or defense mechanisms or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And once you come to understand, why am I cranky? Why do I react this way when this happens? Once you understand the why, I think it's quite easy to forgive yourself first and foremost. You kind of understand, okay, well, that's why I react this way. But then it's also easy to start making changes because now you understand, okay, this is why I do this. What can I change? And I think this is where counseling really helps because it kind of broadens that conversation. And so, have you considered this? Let's explore this for a little bit, right? And it makes you think.
They give you tools to see and think of things in a different way.
Yeah.
That I know it's happened with me many times where it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Like that, like it's just a different way to go about things or react to things or, anything like that. Like me, I'm very emotional and my emotions, just take over me sometimes. And that's a fault of mine. It's really hard to get past that. But that's why I liked counseling because they help with different ways of thinking things and acting when you're put in a certain situation and all that kind of stuff and seeing things through their lenses basically.
Yeah.
Shoot,
again, I lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere with it, but no, it's back. So what I think is, this is me, maybe other men, feel the same, but when counseling was first mentioned to me, I was like, no, I don't want to talk to people about my life. It's a sign of weakness. I don't want them to know how screwed up I am. Like,
Yeah.
I felt very vulnerable, very, like, I felt like I was showing weakness. And as a man, you're supposed to show strength. So
Right.
at first, I was very, not against it, but resistant. But once my house burnt down, I was like, okay, well, now I've kind of got, yeah, let's try it. Like, I have a legit reason, and things are kind of screwed up, and I'm suffering, and let's try it. And yeah, it's definitely helped. One thing I'll say though is, if you're with a counselor and you're not really feeling like it's going anywhere, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm not vibing with you. Could I have another counselor? Because you'll have different connections with different people, and you have to find somebody that you resonate with. So
Yeah.
that's important. And
I've definitely learned that too.
Yeah. And as a man or a woman, whoever you may be, if you think that it's a sign of weakness to go to counseling, I would actually say no, it's a sign of strength, because it's a sign that you're showing you want to grow and you want to get better and you want to improve. So
yeah,
you just have to be willing to be vulnerable.
Right.
I want to briefly talk about counseling. I recently had a visit from the Ministry of Children and Family Development, and that sounds like a Harry Potter thing. It's actually social. It's actually social services. So
Right.
yeah. So 2 months ago, I had a family dispute. I'm not going to get into specifics because there's other people involved. But
Right.
long story short, at the climax of the argument, something was said to me that triggered me. I hate using the word triggered, but it did. It pushed the boundaries of what I was willing to tolerate at that point.
Right.
And I reacted in anger. And well, I mean, that led to my family leaving the house and the cops coming over because they were concerned I might hurt myself. My family left because of the tension in the house, but they called the police to make sure I was okay, which I really appreciate. And that was a great exchange with the RCMP. They came, hey, are you okay? Can you tell us a little bit? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you coming. That was great. It was a scary moment, but I just want to say to people, if you find yourself in that same situation, just be nice to the cops. They're not there to hurt you. They're there to find out what's going on, make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And then, things kind of start to normalize. The family returned, but then I got a call from social services or the Ministry of Children and Family Development saying that there'd been reports of possible violence in the home and that they wanted to come and do an investigation. And that my anxiety went through the roof, right? Because I don't know, when you hear social services, what's your first thought? What comes to mind for you?
For me,
Yeah.
instantly pissed off.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind to me because as a child, social services was called on my mother 3 times.
Oh.
And there was no, we weren't starving, we weren't beaten, we weren't any of that. It was just because she was a mother that didn't let her children run around all over the place. She was strict.
Yeah.
She was strict. I get pissed off because 3 times they were called on my mom. And I have seen tons and tons and tons of family situations where other family members have tried getting social services to go there to investigate all this kind of stuff. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Someone dies. Someone gets hurt.
Yeah. So for me, my first reaction was, oh my God, they're coming to take my kids away. Yeah. Like that was my first reaction. And then the first feeling I felt was, well, anxiety and panic, and just I was hurt because I've looked at all the work I've done as a father to provide and support my children, and it's so like to get a visit from social services was so not what I pictured happening to me in my life. Like I'm like, man, I feel like I've gone above and beyond. I'm not a perfect dad, but I'm not abusive. I'm not this. So it hurt, I think, was the first feeling I felt. And then the second feeling I felt was, well, I was questioning because yes, there was an argument and yes, tempers flared and I did break things, but, it could have been a legitimate concern from the school or, Caitlin's coworkers or somebody's family. It could have been a lot of legitimate reasons. But for me, because of my past experience, I thought it was the mother of my children trying to instigate trouble. Because
Right.
I've had the cops show up at my house before because, you know, my kids are in the tub. They're 3 and 4 years old. She's calling and she's like, let me talk to them on the phone. I said, well, they're in a bubble bath right now. I'm not passing my iPhone to them in the tub. I'll call you later. And then RCMP is knocking on my door saying I'm denying access to the children to my ex. So that was my first gut feeling, is something like somebody's trying to screw with me again, right? Because remember, I got that feeling of the universe always trying to take things from me.
Yep.
So that was my gut feeling. Not really concerned that she was going to discover any dark secrets in my basement or anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had the conversation, and by the end of it, I actually felt good. She came in and she said, you know, there's that, you know, again. She said, I can see that, you know, I can see that you're going to counseling, you're doing EMDR, and I'm going to be going to anger management. You know, I've got coaches, mentors, and all that. She said, I can see that you're putting in the work and you're doing everything you can. But, you know, there might be other services available to you now that we've had this conversation. Like, what would you like to see change in your family? And I told her, I want to get closer to my kids. I want us to not be strangers in the house anymore. I don't want to have roommates. I want to have a family.
Yeah.
She said, well, we could probably help you with that. So I went from fear, like they're going to come and take my kids away, to, hey, this might actually bring my family back together.
To acceptance.
So I've heard your side, and I've heard of some of the horror stories, but for me, it's kind of gone from a negative to a positive. And now I'm hopeful that this is going to lead to something. Mm-hmm. So the message here is for anybody going through this, you know, if you find out, hey, somebody put in a report of violence against you, don't assume it's bad. It could just them be doing their due diligence, checking in.
Yeah.
Everything
and you never
out.
know what could come out of it. Yeah.
And you never know what might come out. This could be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And at this point, it doesn't matter if, you know, the RCMP called or the school called or my ex called, because they came in. I was honest, authentic. I told them, yeah, I punched a hole in the door and I smashed a glass bong. So, okay. Yeah, people lose their temper. It happens. I can see that you're not violent to your kids. Your kids love you. They don't feel threatened. I talk to them. They feel safe here. Let's see how we can work on, you know, preventing this from happening again. So,
right.
And that led to me doing EMDR, which I think you've got some experience with. I don't want to get too deep into this, but for anybody who has the option to try it, I'm on my 3rd session. I'm already seeing some potential benefits. Today, I had my 3rd session and I discovered that I have trust issue. And it stemmed from a memory I had of my dad drinking and driving with me in the car when I was 5 years old and crashing the car, and me never seeing my dad again till I was 16. But who knows that I would lose trust from such an early memory? Like that carried over into not trusting partners, not trusting friends, not trusting family members. I just have a hard time trusting people. Because I feel like everybody wants something from me and nobody really wants to support me.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
I'm kind of the same way as it's just fake. That's I don't know. I think it's because just being alone, you know, even as a kid, I was alone. Like I didn't have any family members that I was closest that were my age. You know, I had older brothers and sisters, and then I had a really younger sister who was 6 years younger than me. So it was just me and my dog. And even through school, because my birth date, I'm a year older than everybody plus again, you know, having a strict mother, I wasn't allowed to do anything. So I was never included in anything. So I was alone. And then when I, you know, was 18 and was allowed to leave, I was gone and just did everything alone.
Yeah.
So
I moved out at 18 as well.
Yeah, I think that the whole not trusting is just because you just never know, right? And I've learned that
you can rely on yourself. You just can't rely on others.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with EMDR, it stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go over the whole gamut because I'm still new to it, but just a brief overview. The first session, usually they ask you about past experience, trauma that you might want to go over. Then in the second session, they give you a little introduction. say, this is what the dot is like. What does that make you feel? And I know for me, they had me create a safe space. I don't know if they did that for you. Like, yeah. And then they also had me create a container to put negative emotions into. Did that with you? And then the third thing they had me do is picture of ray of light and give it a color and then aim it at my dark energy or whatever. And that was crazy because that made me cry. And I've never expected that, you know. She said, aim your beam of energy at the dark or negative energy. And I just started to tear up. So what the hell is happening here? So I'm very curious. I'm very curious about the, you know, the potential benefits of this for sure.
Yeah.
So
it's still fairly new. But you know, apparently because I tried researching it before I did it, and I didn't even know about it until I was in couples therapy and just talking about some things, and she goes, you need to do EMDR. And I'm like, what? And then she explained it to me, and she's like, it's like a shock therapy. I'm like, what? And then she went more into it, and I was like, okay, well, sure. I mean, why? I got nothing to lose, so I'll give it a shot. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And each time I went, like you said, it was more unraveling of something.
Yeah. And
I didn't really notice or feel like anything changed until you're put into a certain conversation about that subject, or you're confronted with that person or put in that situation. Then you finally feel and realize and acknowledge that the way you act or think about what just happened or how you're going to deal with yourself in this kind of situation, or, you know, oh my God, there's the, you know, person that sexually molested me standing right in front of me, how you're going to deal with it. Yeah. And then, you know, once you're put into that situation and you think totally differently, then it's like, oh, that did work.
Yeah, that's my understanding of MDR. So we picked like my least triggering memory, which is the car crash of me and my dad, because it's such a long time ago and it's whatever. But shoot, I am so bad for losing my train of thought. I'm going to start talking about microdosing and lion's mane mushrooms in a bit, because that brings you mental clarity. I clearly need some of that. But
apparently I do too.
So when we talked about that memory, she had me look at a negative list and a positive list. And basically she said, look at these statements and tell me what resonates the most to you about this memory. And the one that stuck out was, I can't trust anyone. Because to me, I'm in the car, my dad's drinking and driving, and he's crashing the car. And then he had a CB radio and he didn't call for help. He decided to drive, like, you know, so, okay, I can't trust anybody. But then she also said, okay, look at the column now and match a feeling that you want to replace that with. And that was, I can pick and choose who I trust. So I guess the point of EMDR is, if you get that memory pops into your head, you're no longer thinking, I can't trust people. Now you're thinking, I can pick and choose who I trust. So it takes the sting out of the memory and doesn't trigger anxiety. And at least that's my understanding. I'm not the professional. I'm just going through it, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of microdosing, do you know anything about that?
No, not really. No. Well, I don't really know much about it at all, other than hearing the odd thing, you know, in the news or at a podcast and all that kind of stuff. And then it makes me think, well, I'd rather try that than, you know, be on antidepressants or something. I would like to try it sometime, but just don't know anything. Haven't talked to anyone about it.
Awesome, because we're about to. Yeah, so I was recently approached by a microdosing company. They reached out to me and sent me some stuff. I want to talk about it a little bit, because I'm going to be trying it out here in the coming weeks, and I'm going to be talking about it. So I figured let's have a quick overview. So for those of you guys who don't know, microdosing is basically taking a small amount of a substance, so you get the good benefits, not the bad. So for psychedelics, you want the good benefits of taking psychedelics without having hallucinations, because how can you go through your day, you're tripping balls, but I feel great. Yeah, but you're not getting any work done. So that's
to be in the right frame of mind. And see, that's what I don't know. It's like what changes and still be focused on, working, driving, being with your kids, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll figure this out
Yeah.
through my journey. But the thing about microdosing with mushrooms, though, it's not just straight psilocybin. So I'll show what I got sent here. I got a few packages. So first of all, Ground Sound sent me a little card, which I thought was really nice. I always love handwritten personal notes.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice touch.
What's the name? The Ground Sound?
Ground Sounds with an S.
Okay, that's an interesting name.
Yeah, and then they sent me a little pamphlet. It talks about how do I open this? There you go. It talks about their mission and microdosing.
Okay.
You're not gonna have to read that, but I just want to highlight some of the things they said because it really resonates with me. It says, we're building a future of harmony and balance where self-awareness, agency, and insight are the norm. So I think, personal growth, journey, self-discovery, that I'm resonating with that. Then they say everyone should have access to the natural, spiritual, and emotional tools they need to grow and heal without stigma or shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. We integrate play and growth as intertwined channels of our life practice. We loop through the daily experience, helping us radiate with joy and connected energy, or joyful, connected energy. Happiness, being happy, on board.
Yeah.
Last little snippet, and then I'm done. We created Ground Sounds to promote this radical vision of healing and happiness for everyone. Well, all right. I'm 100% on board, guys. So, yeah. And I'll save that for after. But yeah, so they sent me some samples. I got these here. I got these three. So these three packages, they all have different names. Play That Fungi Music, Mort's Melody, Little Bud. All these ones are essentially is straight psilocybin or Psilocybe cubensis. I might be saying the words wrong.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, so this is just straight up psilocybin.
Mm-hmm.
Benefits. I'm familiar with this, just not in small quantities. Yeah, that's for microdosing. I'm going to be looking at the other ones primarily because they mix in other components, other mushrooms or other roots and whatnot.
Okay.
So that you get different benefits. I'm only going to talk about the one I'm going to be trying soon. So they sent me Super Freak, which has one, and Champion's Lover. But the one I'm going to be trying is Stevie's Wonder.
Okay.
And so Stevie's Wonder's got Psilocybe cubensis. It's got reishi mushrooms, bacopa, gorucola, and lion's mane.
Okay.
Do any of those?
Lion's mane. Lion's mane, I think, is good for clarity or brain health. I can't remember, but I was told from a friend of mine.
Cognition health.
Yeah.
Cognitive health. Yeah, and I think reishi supports the immune system. Let me see here. It helps regulate blood pressure, cholesterol, and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so each of these different sample packs have different ingredients. Psilocybe cubensis being the primary one, but other than that, they vary.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have different attributes. So this one, increased focus, memory, and clarity with this brain focused blend of adaptogen, herbs, and psilocybin. So today I'm going to take my first one, and I'm going to start measuring. Go ahead.
So how many are in a pack? Like how many does it, like you can't just do one and then that's it, right? Like, isn't it like, I don't know, a week or something?
This is where it gets blurry. This is where how you feel comes into play. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And this is also where we need to really have specialists and psychedelic assisted therapy and professionals come in and kind of set the norm and standards for this. Because right now there's no regulation. You try it out, see if it works, right?
Yeah. How would you know certain doses of this or that? Yeah, that's.
So for me, there's 10 caps in this, and it tells you how many milligrams of each substance is in each capsules. I'm gonna try with one. At the end of the week, I'll let you know. Do I feel more clear? Do I feel more focused? If no,
do you feel anything?
Maybe I'll bump up the dose, or maybe I'll say, "Oh, this isn't for me." But in my opinion, this is gonna be great. I really have high hopes for this. So I'm really grateful that Ground Sounds reached out because I've been wanting to try microdosing, and I'm doing a poor job at explaining it. If you're curious about microdosing, you can find Ground Sounds on Instagram. They have the link to their website there. They'll tell you everything. They talk about microdosing. They tell you about the benefits of everything. I'm not the guy to do that. But they sent me a little code too for anyone who's interested. Yeah. Groundsounds. 15% off. And they're going to do a way better job at explaining it, all the benefits and what you should be doing. I'm just here to tell you I'm freaking excited to do it because I believe in this stuff. So I'm going to be
interested
reporting
to
on
know. I'm interested to see. Are you going to journal every day at the end of every day, or like when are you supposed to, like, are you going to take one in the morning?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, when I got this package, I got so excited. Like, somebody noticed my podcast and they want me to, I was like, whoa, I have to do this super great thing. And instead of just coming on and saying, hey, Ground Sounds reached out, they sent me some products, I'm going to try it out, I can't wait to tell you, I started thinking about charts and pie chart and the graphs and overthinking it. That's what I am. I'm a classic overthinker, and then I make things way too complicated and then nothing gets done. So So here we go. I've told you about what's happened. Ground Sounds is out there. They're good for information. I'm going to try it. As far as how I'm going to document it, my plan was to journal. I'm just going to go by feel. I'm going to kind of day one say, how do I feel today? Take a pill. The next day, how do I feel? And then by the end of the week, we'll see if things have changed. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try it out. And
how you feel mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah.
That's just it. And that's going to be hopefully part of my, healing regimen with counseling and mentoring and coaching and everything, and fitness, going to the gym. I should bring up that NGBN now has an online store, right? We can buy NGBN merch. No Tripping Through Transformation merch yet, but I'm sure that's going to come in the future.
Yep.
If you want to check it out, I've got a special code, Tripping10. Yeah, if you go to NGBN, that's on NGBN.tv, right?
Yes.
And you go store.
Yep.
Yeah. We've got so much happening right now. Like I said earlier, every day, a new announcement. I'm like,
every day,
crap, this is beyond what I ever expected.
I know. Ian does not get enough recognition for how hard he's working and just so he can get this going. Like, he's so passionate.
I could tell. But but in January, right, we're launching officially. Come into Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Spotify. There you go. You got it all. iHeartRadio, all that. All the shows are going to be accessible on there. If you click on the NGBN network icon, you're going to see all of our shows. I mean, all the shows, Bare Essentials, Rubio, Method, Chevin Nasty, everything's going to be on there.
And that's another thing too. Like, every day there's more shows, and they're just piling on, which is great. So
that's just it. I love the wide range of professions and skills, but also experience. Like, for me, I consider myself to just be the guy who's figuring things out. I'm not a podcast expert. I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not an expert at anything. I'm just interested in going through the motions and learning. And I think that's important too, because people need to see that not everybody's an expert, and it's okay. And you can still learn. You're not stuck just because you're not a professional.
Exactly. So, and it's, the whole point of it is regular people doing cool and amazing things.
And that's my understanding of NGBN, National Grassroots. Grassroots is the kind of keyword for me. Is we're regular people trying to do amazing things, and we want to inspire, support, educate, celebrate, and entertain men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I also always say, and those who love and support them, because we want them watching too and supporting the guys, right?
I've always had guy friends. I've always related to guys. I've never been very good, with female friends or, kids and all that kind of stuff. I was a tomboy growing up, and I relate more to guys, and I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do, and I did. I only did it the one time because I don't know why, but
I don't think you need to have a reason to help someone. Helping is enough. Like, why do you need to justify it? I want to help. I don't need a reason.
So it makes sense that I'm here, helping, working with men at the, NGBN network. So, and I love it. It's fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I love having you on. I love having you on the podcast, and I think it's great
Thank you.
to have you show your face and talk on the episode. So
Yeah, we made it.
yeah, I'm sure the listeners won't care at all about this, but I realized we only run
Well,
one
whatever.
commercial and not two. So now I don't know. Should we go to commercial or should we roll credits? I don't know.
We should roll credits.
All right. So with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Jenna, for coming on. I appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for coming on. Thank you
You're
guys
welcome.
for listening. Again, if you want to catch Tripping Through Transformation or any other shows on the NGBN network, you can go to NGBN.tv. And in the new year, you'll be able to go to all these other places we've mentioned: Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, all that stuff. It's in the graphics. You got it. So make sure you check us out because we're getting big all the time. Great things are happening. I forgot to mention the Canadian network too. We won't get into that, but that's another thing coming on. Guys, just stay tuned. Lots of great things are happening. I can't even keep track. Seriously.
I know. It's exciting though.
All right. So with all that, thank you guys. We'll see you next time, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Guy.